On July 2, 1937, Amelia Earhart's final words were received over the radio, a message indicating her position as 157-337 before radio static took over, and then silence. These words would become the last anyone ever heard from the pioneering aviator. For 88 years, her disappearance has remained one of history's most enduring mysteries. A cultural icon, a woman who refused to be limited by her era, gone without a trace. But what if everything we thought we knew about her final flight was incomplete? What if new evidence has finally emerged that could solve aviation's greatest cold case? Today, we're diving deep into the mystery of Amelia Earhart, the final flight, the theories, and the shocking new discoveries that are changing everything we thought we knew. Before she became a mystery, Amelia Earhart was a phenomenon. Born in 1897, Amelia grew up in a world where women were told what they couldn't do, but she never listened. In 1928, she became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic as a passenger. 4 years later, she did it alone, becoming the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. She wasn't just breaking records, she was shattering expectations. In an era when women couldn't even vote in many countries, Amelia was commanding aircraft across oceans. By 1937, she had set her sights on her most ambitious goal yet, circumnavigating the globe at the equator. 29,000 miles, a route no one had ever flown before. She wasn't doing it for glory alone. Amelia saw her flights as proof that women belonged in the skies, in exploration, in history. On June 1, 1937, Amelia and her navigator, Fred Noonan, departed from Miami in a twin-engine Lockheed Electra. They flew east, island-hopping across South America, Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. By late June, they had covered 22,000 miles. Only 7,000 remained. But the final leg would be the most dangerous. A 2,500-mile flight from Lae, New Guinea, to tiny Howland Island, a speck of land barely 2 miles long in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean. It was a navigational nightmare. Miss Howland Island by even a few degrees, and you'd have nothing but open ocean in every direction. On July 2, 1937, Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan took off from Lae. They were never seen again. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca was stationed near Howland Island, tasked with guiding Amelia and using radio signals. But from the beginning, communication was problematic. Amelia's radio transmissions were sporadic. The Itasca could hear her, but she couldn't seem to hear them. At 7:42 a.m. local time, Amelia transmitted, "We must be on you but cannot see you. Gas is running low." 20 minutes later, at 8:43 a.m. came her final transmission. "We are running north and south." Then silence. The Itasca's crew frantically tried to respond, sending smoke signals, flares, anything to help her locate the island. But there was no reply. Search efforts began immediately. The U.S. Navy launched the most extensive air and sea search in history at that time, covering over 250,000 square miles of ocean. Nothing. No wreckage, no life rafts, no bodies, no debris. After 2 weeks, the official search was called off. Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan were declared lost at sea. The official conclusion? They ran out of fuel, crashed into the Pacific, and sank. But even from the beginning, that explanation didn't sit right with everyone. The crash and sink theory remains the most widely accepted explanation. And on the surface, it makes sense. The Pacific Ocean is vast, millions of square miles of water, some of it over 20,000 feet deep. If Amelia's plane went down, it could have sunk quickly, leaving little to no surface debris. Her final radio transmissions indicated she was low on fuel and couldn't locate Howland Island. If she ran out of fuel, a water landing would have been her only option. And a Lockheed Electra, heavy with fuel tanks and equipment, would have sunk rapidly. Add to that the fact that the search began hours after her disappearance. Ocean currents could have scattered any debris across hundreds of miles. So why do so many people reject this theory? First, Amelia was an experienced pilot. If she knew she was going down, she would have sent a distress signal. Yet her final transmissions didn't indicate immediate danger, just that she couldn't find the island. Second, radio signals. Multiple people reported hearing distress signals in the days following her disappearance, signals that suggested her plane was on land, not underwater. And third, the lack of any physical evidence. In nearly 9 decades, not a single confirmed piece of wreckage from her plane has been found in the expected crash zone. Which brings us to the alternative theories. And one of them is gaining serious traction. 350 miles southeast of Howland Island lies a remote coral atoll called Nikumaroro, formerly known as Gardner Island. In 1940, 3 years after Amelia's disappearance, a British colonial officer found human bones on the island. At the time, they were examined and dismissed as belonging to a male. But in recent years, forensic anthropologists reanalyzed the measurements using modern techniques. Their conclusion? The bones were consistent with a woman of Amelia Earhart's height and build. But that's just the beginning. In 1991, researchers from the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, known as TIGAR, began investigating Nikumaroro. What they found was remarkable. Artifacts, including a piece of plexiglass that matched the windows of a Lockheed Electra, a woman's shoe from the 1930s, a sextant box consistent with the type Fred Noonan would have used for navigation. Then, in 2012, researchers discovered what appeared to be remnants of makeup, specifically a jar of freckle cream. Amelia was known to use such products. And perhaps most compellingly, analysis of historical photographs of the island's reef revealed what some experts believe could be the landing gear of an Electra, partially visible during low tide. The theory? Amelia and Fred, unable to find Howland Island, spotted Nikumaroro and made an emergency landing on the reef during low tide. They survived the crash but were stranded. Over time, the plane was swept off the reef by waves and sank into the ocean depths surrounding the island. Radio distress calls heard for days after their disappearance. They could have been transmitting from the island until the plane was washed away or the batteries died. It's a theory that answers many questions, but it's not the only one. Another persistent theory suggests Amelia didn't crash at all. Instead, she was captured by the Japanese military. In the 1930s, tensions between the United States and Japan were escalating. The Pacific was becoming a geopolitical chessboard. Some theorists believe Amelia was on a secret reconnaissance mission for the US government, and that she either intentionally or accidentally flew into Japanese-controlled territory. According to this theory, she and Fred were taken prisoner, possibly to the Marshall Islands, and eventually died in Japanese custody. Evidence supporting this theory includes reports from Pacific Islanders who claim to have seen a white woman and man held captive by Japanese forces. Some witnesses described seeing an aircraft matching the Electra's description on Japanese-held islands. In 2017, a photograph surfaced that some believed showed Amelia and Fred on a dock in the Marshall Islands, with a ship towing what appeared to be her plane. However, most historians and experts have debunked this theory. The photograph was later found in Japanese records dated before Amelia's disappearance. Witness testimonies were inconsistent, and no credible Japanese records have ever been found documenting her capture. While the Japanese capture theory remains popular in some circles, most serious researchers consider it unlikely. So why, 88 years later, are we still talking about Amelia Earhart? Because her story is more than just a mystery. It's a symbol of courage, ambition, and the unanswered questions that haunt us. Amelia represented possibility. She showed the world that women could do anything, and her disappearance reminds us that even our greatest heroes are vulnerable to the vastness of the unknown. The search continues. In recent years, deep-sea exploration teams have used advanced sonar and remotely operated vehicles to scan the ocean floor near Howland Island and Nikumaroro. In 2024, new expeditions were launched, analyzing underwater anomalies that could be wreckage. Forensic scientists continue to re-examine old evidence with modern technology. DNA analysis, advanced imaging, and digital reconstruction are all being applied to artifacts recovered from Nikumaroro. The truth may still be out there, resting on the ocean floor, buried under coral, or hidden in an archive we haven't found yet. But until that day comes, Amelia Earhart's disappearance will remain what it has always been. A reminder that some mysteries refuse to be solved, and that sometimes the search itself is what keeps a legend alive. Amelia once said, "The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity." She acted, she flew, she pushed boundaries, and even in her absence, she continues to inspire us to reach for the impossible. The mystery of Amelia Earhart endures, and so does her legacy. If you want to explore more unsolved mysteries, check out my video on the Angikuni Lake disappearance, and let me know in the comments, what do you think happened to Amelia Earhart?